All right. Good morning and welcome. I say good morning every time. I'm so used to doing that. But good morning, good afternoon, good wherever you are. Good evening. We are back with another episode. He said we're here. Let's go. Good afternoon, Chels. We got Lucas in with us today, so it's going to be a good conversation. I want to give a huge shout out to our Precision Plumbing here, as you all see, for sponsoring the video. Guys, it's been a hectic week, so we didn't come with a whole lot, but it was kind of the same as last week, as we talked about, and I think we're gonna have some good conversation out of this. And Chelsea, I'm glad you're in here. Tell Mav he doesn't want to miss his opportunity once again to stay Coffee King. So I'll go ahead and bring our old boy Lucas up in the chat. Lucas, you are officially able to be seen, my guy.
Sweet. Let's do it.
All right. Sorry, I'm getting everything opened up here. Okay. So with that said, Lucas and I were even talking just a little bit. As he's seen, I was dealing with a whole bunch of whatever going on the screen. But we don't necessarily have a topic that we had officially been like, what's on your heart? What's on your mind? But I did mention to you beforehand talking about the compound. And for those that don't know, there's a kind of, I guess, desire for a lot of families now, and we've talked about this, Lucas, but surrounding yourself with people that you like, know, and trust, and just, raising your kids together, learning and taking on farm life and stuff like that together. Give me your concept. This, as we've kind of discussed a little bit, give me a little bit more clarification on a compound for you. What are your desires out of that?
Yeah, we've talked a bit about this. Just the idea of having some land and a property where you could have families that are either a part of your family or just friends that live on a joint property with you, that you guys kind of start building your own community.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there's just a lot of cool aspects to it, because I think that as time goes on and technology advances more and more, um, there's going to be a greater sense of reliance on the system, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
to just do things that are part of your everyday life. Like, um, we're already getting to a point now in 2026, which seemed unheard of just 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, where people are relying on their technology even just to think.
Yeah.
Um, I catch it all the time. It's a pet peeve of mine, so maybe that's why I notice it. Where as soon as someone has to remember someone's name, or remember a number, or remember thing, or think of something, they don't give their brains 10 seconds to think about it. Your
Yeah.
go-to is just to pull out your phone and look it up.
Yep.
You know, you're cheating your brain. You stop exercising those muscles of memory and articulation, critical thinking, and so that's just one aspect already in 2026 that people may not have considered in that light. But we're already starting to rely on it for our thinking, for our calculating, for everything, especially with AI. There's really not much more critical thinking that is left for us to do if you really don't want to. And a lot of people don't want to. It's not taught in schools. So
Yeah.
I think more and more aspects of our everyday life are going to be slowly taken away by the advancement of everything being automated, cooking food. You know, it seems like a crazy concept, but a lot of things were crazy 15 years before it happened. So,
Yeah.
driving, you know, we may be 25 years away from driving seeming like a crazy thing to do manually. So, maybe who knows what the timeline is, but the fact is, I don't think anyone's arguing that things are not advancing more and more technologically. And so I think setting yourself up with a lifestyle that caters to rem- like being skilled at the fundamentals of living a normal life, and not to drag that out too long, but the ultimate point of it being that we see in scripture that there's a good likelihood that Christians are going to be the first to be kind of ostracized in society when it comes to, and again, maybe these are just conspiracies at this time, but whatever degree you want to take this line of thought, it's got truth to it. Whether you have to have some kind of mark or some kind of chip or some kind of whatever to participate in commerce throughout society, whatever that is, it is eventually going to ostracize and remove Christians from being able to participate. Whether
Yeah.
that means you don't get to grocery shop at the main stores, or you don't get to go out to eat at restaurants, or you don't get to go to Publix. Whatever it is, it's coming um, to one degree or another. So I think that as Christians, we should be prepared to raise our kids to know how to survive without relying on the system. And
Yeah.
I think that that's a lot to ask for one family. So this is why it's good to have a community that you can be tied in with. Again, whether maybe it's just a few friends that you want to partner up with, you buy some space, some acreage, and you guys, build a couple homes, and we can all rely on each other for things. One family's really good at doing this, one family's really good at doing this, and you guys just cover each other's gaps on what you guys are, skilled at doing, and you can rely on each other instead of relying on the government. So
Yeah. No, I think that's really good and really true. I mean, you know, because we've talked about that a little bit, but like it's funny where when we have these conversations, they tend to drift to like, how would you uh, provide for that sort of land? Like, what would your skill set be towards this compound? And again, it's so funny because I hear it all the time, actually, believe it or not, even at my place of work, but they relate um, Christianity to this communistic type of sense. And I'm like, well, I think what the Lord has called us to is what people would prefer communism be in its uh, perfect setting, a perfect world or whatever. But as we know, it doesn't work that way. Um, you have to have a change of heart for these people. You can't force something on them, et cetera, whatever. Um, I can see they're talking about Chase, you buying us some land and all this other stuff. And it's just funny because Lucas, we've had this talk. We've had it with Chelsea and Mav, and um, I've even had it with Garrett here. And it's just funny because, you know, we're at a point to where we feel like the safest and best option. Speaking of, there's Mav. How you doing, Mav?
What
but
up?
but even speaking of, like, it seems like the safest and the best move. So, it's just one of those things that would you say that it's the Holy Spirit that is kind of imparting this desire on you? And do you think you're an exception that the Holy Spirit's doing this for? Or do you think, because I know you said that as Christians we'll probably be forced to this, but is the Holy Spirit guiding Christians to that now, you feel like?
Wow. I was not expecting you to ask that question. It's actually really funny you do though, because this is something I've been having to really check my spirit about ever since this whole idea has come up. Just because the idea of it is so appealing to me,
Hmm.
very attractive. I love the idea of being able to, I mean, let's just be honest. The idea of being able to have, you know, a chunk of land, a 20-acre plot where you've got the only two people that live closest to you are the people you love most. Like you got your best friends living there with you, maybe you got siblings, whatever. But it's the people you love most,
Yep.
And the idea of being able to grow up, we've got two little ones and a third one on the way. So when I think about my childhood versus the way childhood is going to be today, it's literally two different worlds.
Yeah, it is.
The things that I was permitted to do at at a young age when I was growing up is not careless because at the time it was safe. But the things I was permitted to do at my age today would be careless because we don't live in the same society, totally different culture. And this isn't a 50-year gap. This is a couple of decades. So I'm imagining 10, 15, 20 years down the road when our kids are growing up, and the idea of being able to just have our kids walk out the door and us not have to, helicopter over them,
Hmm.
and them just be able to walk out into the woods and build tree houses or make trails or go to their friend's house
Yep.
without me having to watch over them is super appealing.
Of course.
Just to know like, oh yeah, well the closest families to us, closest homes to us are our best friends. So like, what do we
Exactly.
have to worry about? We're all on the same page with what we believe and how we live, and we know they're in safe hands. Whatever they're doing out there, and that lifestyle for a kid, I think, is really impactful in a lot of positive ways too. They get to be creative again, which you and I talked about recently, that kids
Yeah.
don't have to be anymore. So, to answer your question, it's so appealing, the idea of it, that I've had to really check myself as to wonder, like, am I idolizing a certain type of lifestyle, or is this something that God has put on my heart to pursue? You know,
Hmm.
because you've got two ends of the spectrum in Scripture. You've got, um, you know, guard your heart, for all you do flows from it,
Yep.
and you've got the other end of the spectrum that says, watch out, for your heart is deceitful above all things. Who can know it?
Hmm.
So on one end of the spectrum, it's like your heart's going to deceive you. Don't fool yourself. Like, how can you really know yourself? And the other side of it is like, look, wherever your treasures are, there your heart will be also.
Yep.
Um, so I've had to really check myself on this. Like, hey, am I seeking something that's just for my own glory, my own pleasure, or is this something that the Lord's putting on my spirit? I had to have a talk with my pastor about this actually, because I was like, I don't want to be pursuing something that's not His will. And in his normal fashion, this is what he always reminds me of, is that this might be going off the topic you want to talk about, but this was good. It always is reminding me that above all things, God is our Father. And so he said, think about what you want for your kids. Don't you want the best for them? Don't you want
Hmm.
them to have more than you? Don't you like, you want the best for them? We have to remember that God's not just this esoteric deity out in a dimension that we're not familiar with. He's a father. He came here in the flesh,
Hmm.
and he is a fatherly figure to us the same way we're a fatherly figure to our children. He wants the best for us. And, you know, it also does tell us that, that God does give us the desires of our heart. But I think it's just when we take things to the extreme that you have to really guard it, meaning that, okay, I'm just going to take this to an extreme. This is an example he mentioned. So I know this may be a little graphic. rape is a terrible thing. You know, God doesn't instill that on anyone's heart. But the desire for sex is a good thing.
Yeah.
God gave us that. But someone can take it to that extreme where it's no longer good. So God gave the desire for sex, and some people take it so far that it does become sinful. So I
Hmm.
think I think there is sort of a balance of knowing, like, you know what, God gave me this for a reason. You know, I just have to be sure that I don't take this to the extreme where like this becomes the idol of my life. Like everything revolves around this quote unquote lifestyle that I can attain.
Right.
So, uh, yeah, I would say to answer your question, um, yeah, I think the Spirit's been doing a lot of things. God's been putting a lot of things in my path that have kind of keep pointing back to this. Um, you know, it's kind of like, you know, when you buy a new car, you buy an F 150 red, and then all of a sudden you notice it everywhere.
Yeah.
So, you know, that could be part of it. But I also think there's been a lot of things that have lined up that keep thinking like, oh, you know what, that would be a really cool outreach if we could do X, Y, and Z. That would be a really cool way of ministering people if we had access to this, this, and this. So yeah, I don't want to dive into that too long.
Well, no, you're good. And I think it's just one of those things like, I don't know if you've seen some of the comments that have been going here, but Mike even said, kind of while you were talking, that he feels like when kids don't have creative outlets, they struggle with identity. My wife agreed to that. And Garrett even said, like, to your point, that that was his struggle as well since he's moving. The Lord literally brought everything to them and showed them the path to buying their new property.
Mm,
Um, and I've seen it, right? I mean, like, I can name countless Christians that I'm either friends with or pass and, uh, see their walk and everything else. And everybody is moving out into the country. Like,
yeah.
so I feel like there's a leading that way. I know I also have that desire, but I don't have the means. And, like, I don't know. That's the part that kind of gets me is it's like, if the Lord wants me out there, he'll put me out there, not to ignore, um, anything that he's, you know, putting on our hearts or whatever. But, um, yeah, it's just, when I think about it, it's like, obviously I think that the Lord is trying to prepare us. Like, it's one of those, as we see, the world's not becoming a better place.
Right.
And, with that being said, I can see why a lot of Christians have undertaken the challenge of learning old skills. I mean, just taking your wife and Chelsea as an example, they're, you know,
Yeah.
with the baking and everything else, sourdough bread, all this stuff. I mean, I know that I would like to, eventually, here with at least in the next couple of years, really start undertaking a garden and, you know, learning what grows good with other fruits or vegetables and, how that thing goes on. But long story short, I mean, it's one of those. If our food's poisoned, obviously, it's not in our Christian nature to just consume, even out of ignorance, things that are killing us. So
Mm.
it comes down to, being a good steward of the body that I was given requires me to, honestly know what I'm consuming. And that would be one of those big things that I can have control of. I can have a garden. I can grow,
Mm.
fruits, vegetables, whatever that, really just put me back in a godly situation there.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. That opens up a whole nother discussion in terms of stewarding your body, in terms of what you're putting into it.
yeah,
Uh,
Mike said our hearts long for Eden. I think it's in our DNA. We want that utopia.
sure, for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
Uh, yeah.
So, believing that that's the case, I know we talked about you kind of, so your understanding with this, that your desire comes from what would you say it's because you believe of kind of this end time prophetic, development? Like, are you, your thought process is we'll be pushed there anyways, we should undertake this? I'm asking.
Yeah, it seems inevitable, whether it's in our lifetime or we're 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lifetimes away.
Yeah.
It does seem inevitable that Christians are eventually going to be pushed out of the participation of normal society.
Yeah.
And so it's already happened all over the world in other
Hmm.
countries, mostly third world countries. Hence why they're third world, because the Christians can't participate. But anyway, I think it's just a matter of time before the second and first world countries become that, and ultimately the U.S. That so having a childhood where you grow up where the normal skill sets are not just handwriting and spelling, but they're tending to land and growing your own food and cooking and like things that are practical in terms of survival.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be immensely helpful for them. Fast forward 2, 3, 4 decades down the road from now, when they're grown adults looking at families of their own, and that stuff is second nature to them. Because you fast forward another 40 or 50 years, it's all speculation that far out. But I mean, the world's not going to look like it does today.
No.
I mean, just since AI has really been introduced into society, let's just say 7 years ago, AI wasn't really talked about. You fast forward just a handful of years, and there's not a business out there that isn't implementing it or trying to implement it or is starting a business that is all about helping other businesses that haven't implemented it start implementing it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's overcome every aspect of commerce that you could in this time frame. So you give it another few years to advance, and I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not one who's against it. I'm just saying that the more things become automated on the commerce side of things, the more I think is going to get um, like under the rug, integrated into other aspects of our life, like we were talking about critical thinking, memory, those sort of things, because it would be such a big part of everything else we do in life. You won't really think of it as being a bad thing. That you can't even remember phone numbers anymore. You can't even remember names anymore. You can't
Yeah.
remember what you had for breakfast yesterday anymore because your memory's just not getting exercised anymore. And boom, just well, why is that a big deal that I need to remember phone numbers if they're all on my phone? Well, it's that your memory is getting tampered, and now all of a sudden you can't remember any scriptures.
Yeah.
You're going through a hard time, and you can't remember anything you read, right? The things you've read in the Bible, the scriptures that you need to be claiming over yourself or your family or a loved one, you don't remember them because your
Yep.
memory muscle hasn't been exercised in years. And without having access to a device, you can't pull up any scriptures. I'm guilty of this sometimes, a lot of times. So these are just common things that you take them to a further extent, which I think is just a matter of time. And I think they're going to really make the spiritual Christian walk very difficult unless it becomes the norm to you from the time you're a child on to have some of these basic skill sets learned.
Yeah.
It's second nature once you're an adult.
And to your point, kind of even with AI, the AI doesn't have the Holy Spirit. So learning anything from AI about scripture is seemingly useless. You know what
Mm,
I mean? Like, this is,
yeah,
we can Google what a verse means, but it doesn't mean it's going to
yeah,
give us the right answer. It's a robot putting together, countless articles of what this means and developing its own conclusion. It doesn't have, the Holy Spirit leading and guiding it. So, like you said,
mm,
you get to the point where you can't memorize scripture, then you start asking AI what scripture means. You have,
yep,
you've lost the point.
yep. That's
So,
exactly right.
yeah,
It
that's
makes
really
me think
interesting.
of there was a thing John Piper says about AI. Um, there was a little, uh, there was like a little clip that went viral in a sermon where he just talks about AI is going to be better at words than people,
Yeah.
meaning it's going to be able to make music better. It's going to be able to rhyme better. It's going to be able to do anything that involves language, words, far better. He said, I've put this to the test and I've asked AI to make prayers about a certain theology using certain scriptures from the context of certain theologians prayed in the voice of certain authors. And immediately it does it perfect. And he's like, it will always do words better because it's just a simple calculation. It can pull from every resource ever been published online in an instant and formulate it down to the most well versed way of putting it. It's always going to be better at doing that. It can extract. I mean, uh, anyone who's listening, anyone who has utilized AI to look up scriptures, it's mind blowing how well it can like just explain it. It's mind blowing. Some of the things that it pulls out that are not distorted, that are like very theologically sound.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, like Matt just said, as long as you know how to use that and not depend on it, there's so much benefit to be had from it. I just think as a general society, especially those who are not Christians, it is going to be very hard for them to convert later on when their life is so easy without the scripture and without some of these basic skills, because the AI is going to be way better at us. Um, so
Yeah. It's funny because I kind of wanted to test some stuff out. I seen my wife mentioned um, in the chat there that someone ran a task, asked Chat GPT multiple times what the best religion was, and it consistently said Muslim. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and try this, kind of while you
yeah,
were speaking there.
well, I don't know what yours is going to say, but just remember this. I know that was just
Go ahead.
someone just mentioned that, but your AI will always cater to you. So,
Right.
um, ChatGPT is not going to tell you the same answer it will tell me, even if we ask it the exact same question. It will always take, it will always use the data that you've inputted in over time to cater to like uh, tell you what you want to hear. So a lot of times, based on the questions that I've asked it, if I were to ask ChatGPT what's the quote unquote most realistic religion, which I've done before, it tells me Christianity because it's trying to earn your trust.
Mm-hmm.
It wants you to believe it more and more. Well, like if Chase, if you asked it, well, who's the greatest NBA player of all time, and I asked it that based on the conversations we had, it may tell you LeBron James, it may tell me Michael Jordan,
Yeah.
because it's trying
Yeah,
to,
and we already had that discussion. We already know.
yeah, even though there's not a discussion to be had. But yeah, so
Right. Right. No,
is that
yeah. And it's funny you mentioned it because like as I searched it here, its first thing is like, well, what do you mean by best? That's what it wants to know. So I'm like,
yeah,
okay, so Chat GPT, I might as well just rename it to Lucas because that's the type of question you would ask.
here we go.
And yeah, so then I said, which religion has the strongest evidence? Because that's what it was asking for.
There you go.
Um, and obviously it says Christianity, but I've noticed that it does backpack Islam on that quite a
Yep.
bit here.
Yeah.
With that being said, I think this is part of the bigger, broader conversation that we're going to have. First, I want to answer their question. Mike said, have you guys ever used Logos? I have not. I don't know about you, Lucas.
Yeah, it's good. Addie brings up a good question, though. I think the answer is in what Mav just commented. Is it proof enough that it's actually not a good thing? I think it's like any tool. I think if you just understand that it's a tool, a hammer in the hand of a construction worker can build things, in the hands of a murderer can kill. I mean, it's just how it is at the end of the day. Social media for a lot of people is a good way to stay connected with people they're not in touch with.
Yeah.
For other people, it's a way for them to develop an addiction and identity problems that make them crippled to living a normal life. So I think it's a tool that as Christians you can't ignore it. Um, just like the Amish are adamant about not participating in things that use electricity, and that's fine. You can ride a bike everywhere. Just know, like, there are certain aspects of society you're not going to compete in. I
Yeah.
mean, an Amish person doesn't have a realistic way of competing and doing something that involves traveling long distances if they're not going to get in a car or get on a plane. Not saying it's bad, but it's just one example. Like, I think as Christians, if you look at it for what it is, it's a tool. Then it could be used for good.
Yeah. Find answers related to the questions you have. Okay, I do see that, Mike. Yeah. It's kind of like what Lucas was even just saying there, right? Like the AI that we have is tailored to us. So you're using it as that tool. That can be a good thing. But again, still, I come back to we can't find ourselves relying on AI for things that only the Holy Spirit could
Yeah.
reveal to us.
I don't know who sodium incandescent is, but
That's Mike.
there seems to be much wisdom.
That's Mike. Mike. That's Big Mike.
I saw that. No discussion on the MJ LeBron argument.
Yeah. Yeah. Space Jam told us everything.
He brings much wisdom to the conversation.
Yeah, and that's why he didn't jump in here. So, anyways, we'll move on with that one.
Okay.
Yeah, no, okay. So here's my question for people that are moving out into the country, maybe have already moved forward on some of these compound type plans. What do you do if a data center is built right next door?
Here we go.
Now what?
Should have Mav come out here and comment on that one.
Tell Mav come out here. I know he's listening. I want to hear his thoughts. Tell him to come out here.
What do you
she
mean?
said move immediately.
What do you mean by that? What should they do?
Well, so the question then becomes, like, you can see how there's been some pretty stout evidence that when data centers move in, they tend to poison certain things around them, whether that be well water, whatever. You know, it's kind of just a byproduct. There's the noise pollution. Yeah, plant a sign that says caution, an active minefield. I've heard a lot of people say accidentally plant bamboo. Apparently that's extremely invasive.
Yeah, almost impossible to kill.
Gosh, is Mav still at your house? You should yell for him.
Yeah, listen, yeah, I can. What I think just like anything else, like what if you wanted to buy land for the sake of seclusion? You can pull a chair over here if you want.
Yeah, pull a chair.
You know, it'd be like, and then all of a sudden they build a big strip mall, they build some neighborhoods and all that, and it was like, man, what we moved out here for, you know, is kind of being taken away from us. Well, maybe you just move. You know, like we watch some channels on YouTube where they do like homesteading stuff, and some of them have literally just moved because farmers have moved in and some of the open land next to them and started using pesticides and stuff, and they don't want their land to be contaminated. You can only control what you can control. Farmer moves in, starts spraying the land, it bleeds over into theirs. They get runoff from chemicals they don't want, so they just move. So I don't know if that's what you're aimed at.
There we go. I got you in here now, man. You're on the big screen, big dog. There he is, guys.
I was having a conversation inside, so I didn't hear everything y'all said, but
accidentally plant red.
I heard that I was being beckoned, so.
Yeah, you were. We were screaming for you, actually, and I'm surprised that it took you this long to get out here. It never would have taken Batman that long, but it's okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm on my own time.
That's fair. Okay, so I guess
What's
the question.
AI?
Tell him, yeah. So tell him what we were.
Well, you asked the question because I was sort of interrupting you, trying to get to what the.
No, I know I did, but I want to hear you. I want to hear you explain it out
He's
to him.
He's asking like, what do you do if, say, you want to like move towards this direction of like, you know, living a traditional life, and then you get some land, you do this compound, and then a data center gets built right next to you. What do you do?
Well, I think that in general, a lot of people don't really understand data centers the way they think they do. I'm probably the three of us. I'm probably the most pro data center of the three of us. Sorry, I apologize if that, you know, offends somebody. But I'm a coffee king, so I get this microphone.
Okay, that's indisputable at the moment.
No, but it's in terms of like that particular hypothetical question. You know, you get a farm or something, and like someone like a data center moves in and they plant an AI data center right next to where you're at. I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know exactly how I'd react to something like that. But, you know, if you pay attention to where these data centers are popping up, yeah, a lot of them are in rural areas, but a lot of them are also really far away from other people. They're not really popping up right next to all the like farms in the world. I'm sure you could find examples of that. But the other thing that has been happening that is not getting mentioned enough, I think, is the fact that these AI data centers, they're actually investigating other places to put them that are less invasive, because it actually isn't the data center themselves that make all the noise either. I know that you all were talking about them being, you know, very loud, and they do produce noise, but it's not the data centers themselves that produce the noise. It's like the surrounding equipment. And I'm not an AI data center expert by any means. I still read and research about them every day, because I've shared with O here that I'm not really certain if I'm pro or anti data center, but I don't think it's fair to say one way or the other without at least having some backing for why you say that. But I think that a lot of people, like I said earlier, what doesn't get talked about enough is that they're actually starting to investigate ways to build them in really far away areas where people aren't. Like, for example, they're building them in Antarctica, where like the cold is. I don't know if you all know this, but waves in Antarctica are like the biggest, like anywhere. Like they're huge, and so they're utilizing these waves to. They have these long tubes where the waves like splash up into these tubes and they generate electricity, and it's funneling that electricity back to data centers. And the beauty of that is the water there is really, really cold, so it's like naturally producing the cooling that is necessary for that. So it's like all the pollutive things that are happening when they plant them, in rural America. A lot of those are being circumvented by placing them elsewhere, and they're already investigating ways to put them in outer space, for example, as another option. They haven't figured out the engineering behind that yet, but I mean, it'll be in short order. The next 5 to 10 years, we'll probably be seeing solutions to all these problems you are referring to. We'll probably see a lot of solutions to them, because AI is very good at solving these problems. They're a problem right now, but they said the same thing about the combustible engine. They said the same thing about the internet. The combustible engine is dirty, it's pollutive, it's really loud. And then what happened? And now everybody drives cars. They said the same thing about the internet, that it's scary and risky, and no one will put their credit card on the internet because they'll get their identity stolen. And do those things happen? Sure, but it's so minute. It's such a small. I mean, we're using the internet right now to communicate, and so it's become mainstream. And I think the same thing is coming, honestly, for AI. It's just going to advance society so far forward. But I do want to note, and I'm sorry to take the mic for so much time, but I've thought about this a lot. And I do have a desire as a Christian, like you all were referring to earlier, to get into, have one foot in the traditional lifestyle of going back to basics and understanding how to grow my own food, other things that maybe a little bit more that I don't want to mention on stream here, that I need to probably, we need to learn more about. Just being able to live off the land, essentially, forgotten skills and going back to basics. But at the same time, we do live in the modern era where I do feel I have to have one foot in the other world as well. One foot in tradition and one foot in the modern advancement of society. And so I think it's good to have to straddle that line, at least until something definitive causes you to go one way or the other. But I hope all that makes sense. That's kind of how my thinking is about this. I'm very pro advancement and emerging markets, and I'm really into finance. And so I've got a foot in that world. I'm not like, let's go live off the grid forever and never look back, never invest in the stock market again. I'm not, I'm somewhere in the middle of all that, if that makes sense. So.
Yeah, it does. And so here would be my next follow-up question for you, Mev, is just that, and I could even name the pastors for you if you'd like, and it's not I'm not saying that their word is end all be all. I don't want to throw that out there, but a lot of pastors, high profile pastors right now seem to think that AI is going to be one of the strongest weapons of the Antichrist. Some have, honestly just went ahead and definitively stated, and obviously they can't know for sure, but they've definitively stated that, AI will be the image that is erected in the temple that, of the beast in Revelation in time there. So I guess my question is as a Christian, if you now hearing that some Christians view it that way, like what are your personal thoughts on that matter? I mean, because we've all seen iRobot, not saying that's going to happen by any means, right?
Yeah.
But I think
it's a documentary.
Yeah, exactly. It was a prophecy. So, it's just one of those things that it's like, in a world that is increasing in evil, how can we not have some repercussions about AI, or at least try to limit the power that an antichrist could use? These are some questions that would pop up, but that's not even the first one that I was asking you. There's so much your thoughts on, if some Christians view it this way, why do you think you view it different, if that makes sense?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, that's a great question. And honestly, Lucas and I have had conversations like this in great detail. And I think it's a very reasonable question, especially as a Christian. I guess I just look at it the way I view it, same, like I said before, same as the internet, same as any other tool that we use, money, for example. I don't view it as inherently this evil thing.
Yeah.
I view it as simply a tool that can be used to advance society in a positive way, or it can be used to advance society in a negative way. And so I'm sure I don't have any examples, but I'm sure you could probably find Christians and pastors talking about the emergence of the internet and
Yeah.
how dangerous that was going to be as Christians,
sure.
and how that would exacerbate issues. So
Well, you could almost argue, though,
as well. I'm not saying.
Sorry, I just wanted to
Yeah.
say, I wanted to throw out there, like, you're right. Like, sure, you probably could have found that, but then there's the argument for that since the internet, that mental health and addictions have rapidly increased. You know, weapons of the devil that are linked to somebody's internet usage. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, definitely. And you're right. I mean, I don't disagree with that. I think that it's a very powerful tool. Same as like I don't know if this will get us demonetized on Twitch.
I'm not worried
apologize,
about
but,
that. I don't care.
Firearm, like a firearm. Somebody can use a firearm to save a life, but they can also use a firearm to end their own life. And so there's you can. It just depends on how you're approaching it. I think the only fair way to approach a conversation about emerging markets like that is neutral. And so it's very good to say, oh, these are the risks, these are the dangers of such a thing. And to your point, and to be fair, I have even said to Lucas before that I think eventually, because I'm in AI every day and I study it deeply, not as much AI data centers, but AI agents and the emergence of AI as a tool in the marketplace. It is. I believe it's going to be something that eventually people will worship it. I think it's so powerful that people will think it is God. People that don't have that, they don't have that connection with Scripture and what is truth, and so they will look at it as like, wow, this ultimate. Talking about your iRobot example, like I could definitely see those types of things happening, and I think that it is important as Christians that you guard your heart against stuff like that, but also at the same time, there's no guarantee that reality comes to fruition. Just as easily, I could see a world just as easily where pastors use it and take advantage of it, and they program the AI to follow only Scripture, and they code it that way where it can actually help you do Bible studies and things like that. I don't think it's inherently just gonna, if we allow this to happen, the world's gonna blow up.
Right.
I definitely see that reality could happen, but I'm not somebody that's like, turn off all the electricity because electricity can hurt people.
Yeah. I get that. Good answer. I think that's a good answer. That right there, folks, ladies and gentlemen, is verbatim from the top ranked man in the coffee royalty rankings. Otherwise, as many might know, is the potential coffee king, barring anything crazy today or next week. So
Yes.
I know
I'm a humble king.
He's a humble king
I'm good
indeed.
to my subject.
That's right. That doesn't mean he's going to be throwing around free drops of coffee, but you can definitely come earn them yourself.
Oh, no. No, I'm a capitalist too. So
That's right. He's earned this. He's put in all the risks.
Oh, you're demonetized twice now. Oops.
That's all right. I don't care. It's not why I do it. But okay, sweet. So what if, Lucas, do you got anything you want to add on that?
I mean, I think the Chelsea and Gabriel's comments, like we've said, it's a tool.
Yeah.
Many things can be used for different ways. It's the beholder of it. I think it goes back to, this is why things like the traditional lifestyle and having a community are so important, because even just like to Ryan's point, let's say you have a community of a few families that are, depending on each other more than the system, so to speak. Maybe you've got 2 or 3 people in this said community that are not really maybe they're not super opposed to it, but maybe they're not really with the whole AI advancement movement going on. And they want to kind of be hands off, even though they know it's not like an aspect of society they can totally avoid. They don't want to participate by any means possible. Well, maybe that's where like the 1 person or 2 people in the group that are not on that end of the spectrum, like Ryan, for example, who it'd be like, well, you know what? Of us, why don't you be the one to handle that, and you do the investing, you do the finances, you do the technology, you do all that, and you be the one who's in charge of handling all that, and we can just discuss and just keep up to date with what's going on. But I don't want to really participate. It's
Yeah.
kind of like, you know, it's kind of like the Amish. Now you've got all these, like Mennonites and all these different like denominations that have broken off over time, where they've realized, you know what, it's not realistic for me to have no electricity. So like where my brother lives, it's the Amish capital of the world. And so a lot of times you'll see these Amish that you've got the ones that walk, you've got the ones that ride bikes, then you got the ones that ride horses, but then you got a lot of them now that do like electric bikes
Yeah.
because it's very hilly, it's very country, and riding 10 miles up and down hills to and from work is not really realistic. So they need some electric assistance on their bike. So it's like it's a small implementation, but it's like in some regards they even realize like I can't avoid this totally.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
ride a bike 10 miles one way to work in 100-degree weather forever. I need some assistance here.
Exactly.
So I just think the people who are for it, that's why community is important. Because like, well, why don't you just take care of that? Because I don't want any of my mental real estate going towards that, but you obviously have interest. So why don't you just be the one to control that? And if you don't have the interest in doing the things that I'm willing to do, then I'll just handle that for both of us.
Yeah.
And that'll just be a trade-off. This would be how we rely on each other.
Yeah. And I do think, just to add on to his point, I think that it is conceivable to think that pastors that just simply choose not to use AI in any way at all whatsoever, I respect that, but people that choose not to do that, they will get left behind in the marketplace compared to their counterparts that do use those things. And I have written a financial thesis. It's like a 40-page thesis that talks about this and how companies. It was in the secular realm, as not as much as the spiritual realm, but you could apply it to in the same way. But companies that do not use AI to extend the reach of their business, they're going to fall behind, and eventually they will go out of the mainstream. They'll die essentially. And there's a point you could argue that pastors that or churches or whatever that choose not to just completely turn their head, turn a blind eye to it, their reach might suffer a bit in that regard. And so I don't know, it's something to think about. I'm not saying the pastors should use it. I'm not saying it's good to use AI for pastors. I'm not saying that at all. It could be bad. I don't know. I'm still learning myself, but I don't think that people should just immediately shun it, never touch it, and think it's inherently evil. I don't think that viewpoint is reasonable either in the modern era. But
you're talking to my wife.
Think of that one. Yeah. No, I'm not talking. No.
No, I know you're not calling her out. I'm saying, but she's the one that receive.
Yeah, there's good. But I've learned the most about this by talking to people that are anti AI, anti data center. I could be hit with some logic that makes me go, oh, you know what? I was wrong about that. I will fully admit that I don't know everything about AI. I'm not a specialist, but I've used it a lot. It's helped advance my personal career. It's helped advance my knowledge, and it's helped. I mean, I created a website in 2 weeks that would have taken me, for months to write the code for if I did it on my own. It's just it'll allow things to just move faster and faster and faster. And the more people that adopt it, the more people will have to adopt it to remain relevant.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Well, what do we say? We progress.
Chase, let me ask you this, because you posed the question.
Yeah.
Okay.
How would you respond to if you were in that situation and a data center was built next to you? Because when I hear that, I think of the same thing, like the example I gave, where these homesteaders have a farmer come in and start using all this spray on their field that runs off into their land. So now the whole point of them going out there to live all organically is ruined because of what a farmer's doing next door, because it's bleeding into their property. So like, it seems like the same question. Like, wouldn't you just, up and go somewhere else? I'm not really sure what else you could do.
Yeah. So because of the situation that I'm in, and it's not even a situation, but being married to my wife, I know her distaste towards data centers, and I know why. And I actually agree in a lot of manners. But because I'm trying to escape those things. So, not trying to not use AI. You can ask my wife. I am honestly pretty regularly using AI, whether that be for just some study or whatever. Like I will use it, but I don't want to be right next to it. And that's the thing. Like we live now, as my wife mentioned earlier in the chat, but 5 minutes away from a Google data center that is being built. And I just like we're already talking about trying to get out of here. Like, but to be fair, pre data center, we wanted to live further out in the country, but we don't want to be surrounded by industrial noise. And I know you said it's not the data center, maybe it's the diesel generators or whatever it is, but at the end of the day, I don't want to hear it. You know what I mean? I want to be out and I want to hear the crickets and the bullfrogs. I want to be on land that is not affected by, the people around me, in the sense of like data center. I don't have to worry about my well water because they're not sharing it with me and there being a potential bleed off or run over. I would sell. I would, to be honest with you, in my personal opinion, if I was literally right next door, I'd probably approach them and be like, "Do you want to buy our land too? Because I don't want to be here." You know what I mean? It would be one
Yeah.
of those like,
So would you have the same response if data centers made no noise?
yeah, for sure. Still, because even though the noise is part of it, like I said, um, there's strains on infrastructure that just have been a factor in a lot of places.
Okay,
Now,
what if it didn't affect your electric bill and it didn't make
no,
any
I
noise?
mean, again, it still comes down to water infrastructure as well. If it's
Okay, what
completely
if it
not
didn't affect the
affecting,
water?
okay, so if it didn't do what it does, then I
No, 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 no,
probably
no,
wouldn't
no.
be. So
Just take those three. Just take these three factors out because I'm just trying to narrow it down. If it didn't affect anything involving your water, electric, or noise, would you be okay with one being next to you?
probably not. Just the fact that they're so obscenely large that they take up a great view. I don't want to look at them. It's just a big concrete
What if you
building.
can't see it?
So
What if you can't see
but
it?
I live right next to it. How would I not see it?
Yeah, but I mean, maybe it's like 5 acres away and there's trees in between. You can't see it.
Okay, I hear you, but this is a very hypothetical situation. Like
Yeah, I know it is
it's near
hypothetical. I'm just,
impossible.
You gotta find your line.
well, I'm trying to find like what else, what is it other than because, and again, I'm just
No,
giving
it
you
is those
pushback for
things.
thinking
No,
about
I'm
it
with you. It is the
because,
things that I've labeled. Like,
but
and those are
but what I'm
inherent
saying
with a
is,
data center.
but in the grand scheme of what artificial intelligence poses a threat to, when you're talking about pastors saying that could be the sign of the Antichrist, whatever it may be, for the complaint to be around noise, electric bill, and water contamination,
Well,
in the grand scheme of things,
that's the
are
general
very
populace.
superficial. Are very superficial when you're talking about you still participating and using it.
Right.
You know
No,
what I
I'm with
mean?
you. So here's what I would say. I haven't seen
Because
enough.
someone who was totally against it would just not participate in using it.
Right, which is my wife. She very much proactively tries not to participate in using it at all. If she can avoid it 100%, she will.
Yeah, but you just said you use it.
I do use it, yeah, of course, because even though other pastors have suggested that it will be used for the Antichrist, I haven't seen how that will unfold yet. Now, I'm not saying that I want to be proactive in promoting that. I don't want to set them up to be able to do that. But at the same point, like Mav said, I don't want to also completely remove myself from, well, honestly, just regular growth. We
Right.
can't, there's a sort of, you don't sign up, like you said, you don't use a car, you choose not to use a car that when that first came out. Well, now like you're limited to where you can work because you can only walk so far in a day before, whatever. So with that
Exactly.
said, if you removed all the things that are inherently a data center, they're noisy, they put strain on
But just the
infrastructure, and they're
superficial
large.
attribute. Only
Well,
the
right.
superficial attribute.
But that's not, I wouldn't say that infrastructure, what people need to function, like having rolling blackouts and having contaminated water supply or less pressure, is superficial. I would say that's a general
Okay,
populace communal concern.
well, I think it's superficial when you're talking about the general use of what AI is doing, as opposed to like just some of the side effects of a data center that supports AI. Because if it's the AI being potentially evil and the data center is what supplies it, the data centers being loud or contaminating are superficial in the sense that compared to being an antichrist, it's not really an essential. if it's and it's fine if that's like what you're opposed to is the noise, and I don't want that next to me either per se.
Mm-hmm.
But I just mean it's kind of like, okay, so if you removed all that, are we still against it? Like if we do get, because you've got China and some other places that are building data centers at the bottom of the ocean now, so you're not going to ever see them, you're not going to ever hear them. Maybe you could still argue some water contamination arguments there, but unless you're on the coast, probably not.
Right.
But if you did remove all those things out of the way, because like he said, it is inevitable that it eventually, whether it's 10 years down the road or 25 years down the road, they're going to hone those details out. You know, eventually data centers will be silent, or they'll just be far enough away that noise won't be a complaint, or they'll be in Antarctica or under the ocean. Eventually they will figure out how they can utilize water to stay cool, but not contaminate the water that they're pulling from. Like those details will get hammered out over time. Just like when you used to use the internet, you had to have a cord that plugged into the wall that was specifically for internet. Now you can just have a phone in your pocket. So you were limited in, you know, location, but now it's, you know, mobile anywhere in the world.
Right.
So
My
those will eventually
convictions,
get honed out. But when they do, are you more okay with it then?
I mean, I would say the thing is, here's what I would say. I would say that the issue that I have is data centers on top of the things that we mentioned, but being built as an example. And I can even show you, like I'll get a video after or something, but we drive 5 minutes up the road. People who once had a beautiful view of woods and farmland in front of them now have to stare at concrete walls. And I mean, literally it's across the street. So
yep.
I completely understand any anger that they might have in regards to that. Now you said if you removed all that, they can't see it, they don't have the sound, et cetera, whatever. Like, yes, if you can guarantee me that infrastructure is unaffected, that if it is affected in any way, they'll pay to upgrade it, that if there's zero pollution, and that if there is any pollution, that they will be sued in an extreme manner to prevent something like that. Right. I'm throwing all these walls up, like, and it's like, okay, the sound barrier or whatever.
Well, these are what ifs anyway. So
exactly. Yeah. But I'm saying if you want to throw data centers in the bottom of the ocean, like, okay, whatever. The problem is that I have is that we haven't studied any of it. For me, it's the same thing as the vaccine. So we started rapidly deploying these things like the COVID vaccine without giving it any testing over time. We don't know the repercussions.
Well, hold on. I have to push back on that though, because you're saying that you use it though. So it's not like the vaccine in the sense that like, no, I don't really trust that this has been studied enough, blah, blah.
Right, but I can't avoid using it.
If you also got the vaccine and we're like, I don't really trust it, but I'm still going to get it anyway.
I understand.
But you're saying you use AI.
Yes, because it's literally unavoidable.
Sure, and that's what I mean. So like, at what point is there a line drawn where it's like the only reason that I really am against it is just because of the visual? It's kind of like we had Topgolf built here a number of years ago, and everyone who lived around it had these signs. They literally went to the Senate and we're trying to oppose this, that they couldn't build it, that we oppose Topgolf all around it. These people aren't necessarily against sports or against golf.
Their big thing was light pollution.
They didn't want all this light shine in there, which is fine. But it's like, are these people against golf? No. Are they against sports? No. But they just didn't like it being in their backyard. So it's like, if they put it somewhere else, are you okay with it? Well, yeah, that's the only reason we're complaining. That's the point I'm trying to make is,
if I'm okay if they put it somewhere that it doesn't affect people. Yes, I would say if you planted it, out. I even told my wife, I was like, you could throw it out in the desert for all I care. Go over to the West Coast, wherever there's sand and no houses around, throw it out there. I don't care. But at the same point, but at the same point, here's my problem is that we have almost tenfold the amount of data centers as the next leading country, which is China. They have like 500 and growing, and we're approaching like 5,000 or something crazy. And it's like, I understand we want to be the leader and we have invested in that. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be, but I'm saying throwing it in people's backyard is also not the answer. As my wife mentioned, you have environmental impact studies. To lay down railroad tracks, it takes years of environmental impact studies. And literally we can have NDAs that this is proven. Like they just did it in Carrollton also, Mav, but where they had non-disclosure agreements to close the deal, and then they made it public after everything was finalized. So if the business isn't shady, why would you have an NDA wrapped up and tied up in getting these things approved. I understand you're going to have public resistance. That's a factor. But the thing is, you can't force your will on the people of the community that don't want it. So if you're going to be met, it's the same type of thing we've talked about at work, right? If your boss makes you mad, he needs to understand that he's going to have to come out at some point and take his licks. He's going to have to be okay with the idea that his guys are upset and they're going to let him know. And it may involve like them calling him an idiot, whatever. It's one of those things. The way that they do things is so shady. There's no years laid out type of thing that I can't imagine that it's good. So I'm not saying that AI in itself, the product of what AI is, I think is to the world's benefit. I think if it didn't come with all the things attached to it, that nobody would be resistant of it. It's one of those, like I use Google, like I said, it's unavoidable. If I write anything in Google, it's going to give me Google AI's like genuine, like populated thing, no matter what it is. So it's one of those, I'm like, what is better? This or this? I don't even go to ChatGPT. I just put it in a Google search bar. I'm getting Google AI. I couldn't avoid it. So right. The thing then comes to, I do think AI is useful. I'm not against AI. I'm against this method of deploying data centers. That's all it is. I don't care about data centers in the grand scheme of things as long as it's not at somebody else's expense. And that's kind of my problem. Like we've seen too much of contaminated water, noise pollution, all these other things where I understand and I agree that there is it's the same thing with highways. We just took people's land to create interstates, and it's for the good of the people. Like I understand that. But again, these have health and actual like big time life worries or concerns. So that's kind of where my resistance with it is. Like I all for AI. I'll use it if there's a clean way of doing it. And I still use it to this day, but that's my point. That's where I would get at. Like I do think, sure, that AI can definitely be used by the devil. I mean, if it's going to push a certain religion because it's more towards what their search history is or whatever. Like, I mean, that's a tool of the Antichrist for sure. But in the grand scheme of everything, like it just is what it is. I don't know. Like I said, if you remove everything that a data center is, sure, I'm obviously going to be less resistant to it, but that doesn't exist yet. So I am resistant to it, if that makes sense. Like you're not going to put a data center beside me. I'll be gone.
Sure.
But,
Yeah, that's completely understandable.
Yeah.
Honestly. And we live in a world where, critical thinking is in low supply. And I do see how it could be dangerous for, people who don't have good critical thinking skills, just relying on AI to make all of their decisions for them entirely. And that, if the AI was programmed in a bad way, that could cause a lot of issues that I could see could affect the church and things like that.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you sharing some of that, because you live close to one. And so you have firsthand experience. So it's easy for people like me, for example, to say, yeah, AI, these are all the great things AI can do. But I'm not aware of an AI data center that I actually live close to. So it's really, it's great hearing some of those problems. I'm aware of those problems. But yeah, I mean, I have to look more into the environmental impacts and people circumventing the law. I don't understand like how all that works. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's where I come down to is like anybody that's doing good for the community doesn't require an NDA beforehand to get all this stuff passed. Like understanding data centers across the United States right now are met with resistance. Doesn't mean we can't have them, but yes, people are upset that type of thing is thrown in their backyard without, especially when the overwhelming percentage of a community is resistant or just in complete opposition of such a thing. So, that's kind of where I'm like, you can't, I don't care what kind of benefit you bring to the country in the grand scheme of things. If you're doing shady business dealings now, then you would sell out the country. in shady business dealings. Like eventually that would
Yeah,
be,
there's an
that's my
entirely
thought
different
process.
conversation about circumvent for the good of the people. What does the good of the people even mean? You know, who
Exactly.
determines that? So that's a whole different discussion
Yeah. And
around
who's
that.
your
Yeah.
people? You know, you say it's for the good of the people. It's like, you mean the people, the
Yeah.
CEOs and those of your community, like of your business or whatever, like, well, then that's the different question. So,
Right.
but yeah,
Yeah.
well, we could definitely
Good
dive into this a lot
discussion.
more. I agree.
Yeah,
100%.
that was great.
Gare Bear said, my dad had to fight against a solar field that was getting put up right next to his house. He and his neighbors won, and now they can't put a solar field there for now. With the data centers, I don't see that. Not sure. Oh, like you're saying you can't put up a fight and it not go there? Yeah, I mean, here, that's the problem. Again, at least it was this way in Lima. I heard it was this way in Carrollton, that it all got approved and like was already a done deal before the community was even made aware of it. And I actually saw at one point when we first came down to Carrollton here lately with you guys, we all went and had dinner that day. Like Carrollton was going through, I was keeping up with this. I don't even remember how I was, but they were talking about the city council or whatever was getting together to vote on. It was something to do with land. It was, but everybody, like I heard speculation. People are like, they would only try to change this type of thing for a data center. And they were reassuring the community, there's no data center coming here. Like, we're not doing that. That's not what this is for. This is totally unrelated. And then 3 months later, here we are. Now they have a data center that's done. So it's like, you know, obviously they were being
Well, I know the
lied
people
to.
that sold that land. The people that sold that land, I mean, they sold it knowing it was going to be a data center. They still
Exactly.
sold it, so it was a voluntary,
sure.
you know, agreement.
Yeah.
But I see,
And
what
it
you're saying.
always
I mean,
is.
the people that are being aware. But at the same time, on the other side of that coin, and I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm not taking a side here. I'm really not, because I have friends that were like, I can't believe they didn't, you know, delineate with the public first. But you know, in politics, you know, you elect your officials, and your officials make the decisions, and that's kind of how politics work in a lot of situations. But even a step beyond that, I think if we waited for the general public to be on board with something, we would not have any technological advancements. We wouldn't have the internet if
Right.
we had to wait for everybody's consensus. 99% of people that use the internet don't even know how the internet works. They can't even describe what the internet is.
Yep.
Same thing with cars. You know, if we waited for everybody to come to consensus on these things, we wouldn't have any of it. We wouldn't have smartphones, you know. So, you know, that's just the other side of the coin. And that's why I think these discussions are so great, because, you know, I know you, especially your wife, very, very, you know, have looked into this, and very, you know, pretty much anti data centers, where I might be maybe leaning a little bit more on the other side. But having these open discussions are a great way for even me to learn, and for everybody to see kind of both sides of that. So it's very very cool.
And that's the thing for me is like, I totally agree with you. Like, just because people are resistant, if we're waiting on the general populace, then we'll definitely fall behind. Even in the grand scheme of like the whole world and all those things. But, you know, with these other things you mentioned, like the cars and stuff like that, like they weren't being thrown in somebody's backyard. You know, it's not like they built this giant, massive facility right behind somebody's house without telling anybody it was coming. They probably had a foreknowledge, especially with the way things work now. Like I said, it's gotten to a point to where they can kind of maneuver through these legality loopholes and inevitably like kind of wreak
I
destruction.
think it had to do with zoning.
Yeah,
Like
that's
the
what it
public
was.
didn't want to zone.
Yep.
And so they got around the law because they were able to, because the public didn't want to zone. So they were able to come in and do that a lot easier than if they had agreed to zone long ago. So, you know, I don't know. It's people want their cake and want to eat it too.
Yeah.
And, you know, the data centers that are popping up, it's not like that, you know, a lot of them are private land that people are voluntarily selling. It's not like the government's taking.
And I'm not against that.
At least I'm not aware of.
Yeah, I'm not against that either. Like you said, it's not one of those situations where they're just taking it from them. I know those people are selling it, and I get why. Money talks, like it does, for sure. But again, it comes down to these companies, in my opinion, removing the farmer should not be able to make a deal like that with this type of plan that ultimately will affect the community, because we've seen the strain on infrastructure. Yeah. So they shouldn't be able to make a deal like that without it first being approved by the community. Doing a simple city council vote, I mean, if Google buys out 4 people, well, then they've won. So, you know, it comes down to like, I understand that there's people we put in power for certain reasons, but again, money talks. If you buy out the farmer and you buy out 4 city council people, you've got it approved. And that's a problem.
Yeah.
So there needs to be some sort of additional check and balance in that process, I would say.
So you're pro more regulation around these types of things.
Correct. And I
More
would even
government
say,
central
yes,
regulation.
a little bit more regulation to where like they can't do these political legality loopholes. And honestly, like I said, I don't care that they're building data centers. I care where they're building data centers. It can't be smack dab in the plum of a middle of a community that's going to suffer because it exists. And that's all.
Well, I guess we solve all the problems by building them in space, under the ocean, and in Antarctica.
Correct. Throw them suckers in space.
That's great. That's good.
Well, Chase, this brings up one more point that's worth making is that so since a lot of these wildfires in California the last few years, I don't remember if it's Palisades or where most of them were, where all these homes got just leveled.
Yep.
I heard this real estate guy on a podcast the other day say that since all these wildfires in California the last few years, in the same time frame, the city of Austin in Texas has built more homes than the entire state of California. So it just goes to show that when the government is in control of regulation and rules, and they can, they don't have enough leniency. There's so many rules and regulations to build homes for people who have had their homes burned down that it takes years for them to ever get one rebuilt. Cities are just popping up all over the place. Well, in the same sense, you've got governments coming in and saying like, yeah, you can build a data center right here next to these 3 neighborhoods. It's going to suck. And technically on the books, maybe you shouldn't be able to do it, but here's 4 loopholes that can get you in. It'll be an eyesore, but it'll bring the city a lot of money. That's the type of government and system that you don't want to be reliant upon.
No, I don't disagree with what you're referring to.
About when you talk about having a community relying upon, this is why the government is not who you want to be reliant upon as time goes on, that you want to have skills and resources within, the radius of where you live, so that a government that doesn't follow their own rules that they impart onto you is not who you're like looking to.
Right. But what I even suggested is exactly what you're suggesting, to where I'm trying to rely less on government. There needs to be more community input than there is, 4 council people that are a part of government voting this type of crap in. And that's what I would say.
But you want more regulation, though. You want more regulation.
I want more regulation in the sense of I want more checks and balances. I don't want them to be able to throw a data center in somebody's backyard without or with the majority of the community, let's say 70%, being in opposition to that. At some point, it's like, no, okay, you have to build it somewhere else. You don't just get to circumvent the people to, turn a profit, because that's all Google cares about. Google doesn't care about making the country better or this and that. They want to make more money, and that's the way for them to do it. So you can't circumvent the people for profits. When it comes to that, it's our city council people can't make big changes to a community that affect infrastructure without first going through the people. And I think that's what it all comes back down to. Of course, we would only be voting in that county. They would put up a vote. It would be one of those, all right, in November, we're going to vote on adding this giant infrastructure. And here's the pros, here's the cons. And you vote on that. And if 51% of people vote no, then it doesn't happen. That would be my thing. I'm not worried about people building homes. Like you said, the city of Austin built more homes than the entire state of California. To me, that's obviously that's too much. That's ridiculous. I'm not talking about building little homes. I'm talking about building things that put a critical strain on an infrastructure that's not built for that. Mm-hmm. That would be my thing.
I'm a free market guy too. I think all these problems will eventually work themselves out, because people like yourself, if they start building data centers and they circumvent the law, people like yourself, good people like yourself you'll move out of those areas. You'll move out, you'll go somewhere else. There'll be less foot traffic, less people buying things from those communities and those cities, and the communities in those cities will start suffering hits that they'll start, everything kind of eventually has a way of kind of correcting itself over time. I mean, this could take years to get through all this stuff, but I hear what you're saying, and I think it's definitely a reasonable point.
Well, and even then, the one here in Lima, that one was built, I think it's only like a 300, I can't remember if they said 300 gigawatt or whatever that is, size data center, but I know they built one building one in Madison, Indiana. That's like, I think it's 12
really?
times the size. And they said it's
wow.
literally considered a super mega data center. So
Super mega. Well, then
data
I'm just
center.
waiting for the super mega ultra edition to come
Exactly.
out.
It's on its way, bro. It's on its way. Somebody's going to have the land to sell, and they're going to be like, man, there's some money to be made
Right.
there. And again, I can't blame the farmer. I don't blame the farmer. Like, anybody that's
Everything's
making their
incentives.
money, you make your
Everybody's
money. That's
competing.
fine. Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
And that's our whole society is based on incentives. And
Exactly.
people will do things that they are incentivized to do. And, just like we are incentivized to maybe move away from data centers because the noise, pollution, and all that in our communities, they're going to be incentivized to create the data centers because they can get our data and, they can make money off of it. So everybody's incentivized in their own way to take certain actions and perform certain behavior. But I think Moonflower's comment here, which actually plays exactly what Lucas was wrapping up with, that this all leads back to, regardless of, I think the three of us have a healthy distrust of our government, regardless of where you land on data centers. And that's where it all comes back to, is like, let's not rely on government, regardless of what you think of data centers. Lucas talking about, oh, you like data centers, you do that stuff. I don't want anything to do with that stuff. And, we do need to get back to more of a community element where, as Moonflower said here, that's where the compound comes in, buying land, take back our food, take back our energy. And then we don't have to worry about these things. If someone built the data center, well, we'll have the capability to live elsewhere and not have to rely on anyone else. And I think that's the whole point of the stream here. So well said, Moonflower.
Yep. My wife threw that in there too at the end, which, I mean, she's right, but that's another discussion. Lucas,
you got to remember, a lot of people aren't going to want to. They're not going to have a desire to. There's a lot of people that the way we look at living in the country as being this dream life, a lot of people feel that way of living, in a loft downtown in Seattle.
Yeah.
That's what they want. They don't want to ever have to cut grass. They don't want to have to mulch or guard. They don't want to have to do any of that. They want to be able to, just live in a place where if something breaks, they can call the maintenance guy and they come fix it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
A lot of people just want to focus on what they're doing for work. They don't want any of their attention deterred from that. And anything at home is just extra.
Because if everybody at the same time all of a sudden wanted to live in the country, everybody in the U.S. wanted to live in the country like we're talking about, well, then eventually the free market speaks, and eventually they would bulldoze all the cities and they would turn everything into the country. I mean, that's how the free market's supposed to work.
Yep.
So,
exactly. Lucas, do you want to pray us out before we jump into the games?
Yeah, sure.
Please.
Dear Lord, Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this time. We thank you for the means and the resources for us to come together and fellowship, even though we're all spread out. And we thank you for just being with us, guiding our hearts and our minds to just talk about the things we discussed. We ask that you would humble our hearts to never get on and do a podcast and have a public conversation for any reason other than to bring you glory and to build each other up and to show love to the people that are listening. And God, we thank you for blessing us the way that you have and given us the desires of our hearts. And we ask that you would always guide how we go about pursuing the good things that you've put into our lives, and that we wouldn't idolize the things you've given us, but that we would only idolize you. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Super good. What am I wife throwing there? On the other hand, Lime also has an oil plant, tank plant, and they're huge. Noisy, cause tons of light pollution. If they had built that stage, we'd just have said, but we know we just. Yeah, she's got a point. All right, we're gonna jump into the games. Mav, I'm assuming you're gonna be in there to try to maintain your position.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, with that said, here we go. We're in there now. We are up in here.
Oh.
Let me get the music going. I know it's already going. It's probably. Oh, they're already. Everybody's already jumping in. I see. Give me just a second, guys. Here we go.
As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord.
That's crazy. Mike was the first one in.
As for me and my house, we will serve
I have great news, guys. I got a pop-out window now
We will serve the Lord.
of the viewer cube.
We will serve the Lord. We will serve the Lord. We will serve.
Check this
We
one.
will serve the Lord.
Assuming Lucas is still in that, just not showing us there. Oh, there's Matt.
He just can't see the he like can't see the games when you all do the games because he's just on the internet. He's not on Twitch.
Right. Well, I got you in here now, big dog. You're on the screen.
Let's go.
All right, first up is
Let's
Big
go.
Mike. Big Mike said, I'm going to start off hot with nothing. Wow, couldn't have been closer. That's actually incredible. Let me get the loyalty points pulled up on this window, guys, and we will be cruising this time. I won't have to bounce between screens. I already got some stuff up here. Here we go. You are up, Mav. Let's make magic happen. Big time. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way. Oh my God! How about that for a rip?
We'll take it.
Okay, yeah, that's a lot of fun. Let me go ahead and give you your 2,000 points for that one. What a hot start. Okay, do you want to pause the giveaway for a minute, Mav? Let other people spin, or do you want to just jump straight into the giveaway? As in, we'll do it. We'll just do it here in a little
What's
bit. It's up
easier
to
for you?
I'd say we keep rolling for a minute, and then when we feel like we've hit a moment to run the giveaway, we will. I've given
Yeah,
you
let's
your
do it.
I've
We'll
given
keep
you
rolling.
your 2,000. My wife is up. What a hot start. My wife's bad
they
luck
good?
continues into the second week.
Are they good? They're yummy.
Chelsea's up. Here, Mav, let me help you out with something real quick. You'll appreciate this. I think it's this.
What we doing?
Now you can see that wheel, I believe.
Yep, I can. That is excellent.
All right, Mike is up. $500 points for Mike. That puts him at 8,800. Good to roll. Next up, we have Mav coming in hot. Dude, there's actually. Okay, I got nervous. I was like, all right, no way. 56,300. Very nice.
No, don't put me on this.
My wife is up. Let's see what magic happens. Some points. 1250. Oh, I gotta pull up the calculator, guys. Y'all know how it is. What's calc short for, Mav?
It is calculus.
That is correct. To some, it is. All right. Chelsea's up. Tell me when I
Can't
should
see
throw
the
up
board though. Am I on the board?
You were not on the board. 1750 for Chelsea. That puts Chelsea at 51,150. Let's go ahead and see the scoreboard. Does everybody want to see the scoreboard? We'll throw that up right quick. We have Mav at number 1, Chelsea at number 2, my wife at number 3, Gare Bear at number 4, and Mike all the way down there at 6. All right, next up is Mike, who's hoping to roll a big 5,000. and will have to settle for 1,000. Barely making it. Moving on to Mav, hoping he hits big here. $1,500's a good number.
We take those?
That puts you at 57,550. We have my wife up next. That's a mega good roll by my wife. 2,000 coming in hot. Numbers been added. Chelsea, you are up. Let's get some big numbers on the wheel. Oh no. Well, it could be worse. Mav's up again. Continuing his hot streak. Is not going to be what happens this time. Minus 250 for you, lad. Coming on to Big Mike. There's actually no way. Beautiful. All right, we're going to do double giveaway right now. Let me go ahead and give him his 2,000 points. Puts him at 11,300. Go ahead and remove Mike. My wife will be the next one up. We're going to go ahead and jump into the giveaways here. Let's see what they are. The first one, Mavs giveaway.
Wait, whose is this one? Is this one?
This one's yours. Full Cup t-shirt. Very nice. Mav, you've already won 2 of those. Is that right? I know that's right. It's okay.
Yep. 2.
All right. I mean, we can't do 2 back-to-back full. That's like 3 or 4. That thing's heavy-handed. Spin it again. Something that isn't a Full Cup t-shirt. Question, should we do the stickers or 5,000 drops? My wife says drops. What do you think, Mav?
Well, I say stickers, cut.
Yeah, because you don't want her to win them. I get it. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mav can't possibly win 3 in a row. All right, so what we're going to do real quick here, we're going to combine these. Whoever wins, wins. The whole thing. How about that?
What? Not 2 different spins?
That's up to you. Okay, no. Everybody says no. No. Got it.
I think we should divvy it up. That way, you know, if Addie wins,
T-shirt is
she
number
can't
1.
win 10,000 drops.
All right, the raffle's live. If you want to join, just type an ! cup into the chat to win a t-shirt from Full Cup. My wife's in there. Mav's in there. Chelsea's in there. Oh yeah. Bum 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 ba dum ba dum bum 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 ba dum ba dum bum 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 ba dum ba dum. Ooh, I'm gonna add something in here. Okay, everybody's in there. I believe. If you're not in there by now, that's on you. There we go. We're going to stop the raffle, and we're going to get ourselves a winner right here, right now. What? Hold on. Oh. What do you think of that, man? Can't win 3 in a row, can you,
Let's
big
go.
dog? It ain't possible. Ain't possible.
Yeah, I secretly like programmed AI in the back end of your code here. It makes me win every time.
That's perfect. Well, it worked. Oh, let's see here. My thing is still celebrating. It's having a bit of a spaz moment. There we go. All right. And then you give the points to me. So I actually had put in another option in that one that said double the next one. So, Mav, that is another t-shirt.
Oh, that's cool.
Now we're going to do the 5,000 drops of coffee. I know,
3
dude,
teas, baby.
he's-
I'll give it to somebody. I'll give
I was
it
about
away.
to say, I know, that's what I'm saying. All right, the 5,000 drops one is now live. Exclamation point cup in the chat to win your points. Let's go. Don't forget to sign back up to get into the full cup game wheel here. Double it and spin again. You guys are going to love that if it hits. All right, stopping the raffle. Here we go, getting a winner.
Gosh, I won again. No.
Yeah, so that's rigged.
I won that one.
Oh.
It's like 4 in a row that I won.
Oh my gosh.
My apologies. AI's working too well.
Yep, this was obviously your topic. I actually can't believe that, if I'm being totally honest. They said test, no way, test the spin again, just test it. Okay, I will. But out of respect for the competition here, I did give Mav his pointage. All right, let's just end that raffle and try again here out of the just testing. 5,000 drops. All right, everybody get entered. This is just a test. This is just a test. I'm going to add once again the double it, give it to the next person. All right, Chelsea, you got to be in there. Mav is in there for testing purposes. This isn't 5,000 drops. Mav, have your wife enter. It has to be the same as last time, otherwise we can't get a true test.
I got her coming 1 second.
All good. There she is. All right, we're going to get our winner now. We're going to stop the raffle, get winner. Okay, so it might be busted. Because how does that happen?
My goodness. Have y'all seen the movie Office Space, where they put a program into the system where they like it's supposed to rip like a fraction of a penny, like every transaction that goes through, but they end up like cranking it up too hard, and like the next day they got like $300 million or something. Yeah, that was that's my bad, guys.
All right, we're going to do one more. Everyone go ahead and put an exclamation point cup again. This one is a lot more fun. You will like this one.
He said,
Mav's already in. Yeah.
Salt Light.
All right, here we go. We're going to stop the raffle and see who wins this one. Yeah, so anyways, we learned that. Wasn't it?
Yeah, who
All right,
was
we're
that?
back. That was double it, give it to the next person.
Oh,
That's the one I was putting in. Okay, I gave Mavis 5,000. Obviously, it's not rigged. My wife is up. Let's go ahead and spin. Get in the wheel queue, everybody. Oh, there's actually.
am I on the wheel?
You were not. Nobody is at this current moment. My wife did get the empty cup game wheel, which is very unfortunate for her. Let's see what happens. Oh my gosh. You know how that is. 53.50. Yowza. Well, if it means anything, you can always win it back. All right, Mav, you're up again. Let's see how this plays out.
Let's go.
Looks like for once you're going to get nothing. Chelsea's up. Chelsea rocking out with 1,000.
You got a foul wow.
My wife is up, hoping to redeem her bad luck here lately. And is unsuccessful. That's okay, she's still the coffee queen of my heart. No one forget it. She's a winner in my books. That was for Big Mike there. Mav's up. Do we have a runaway season here? We don't. Things are okay. Chelsea's up again. Uh-oh. Well. All right, Chelsea, it's time to figure out what kind of luck you have. An empty cup wheel. You are safe. No need to fear.
The fire department's on fleek.
Back to the regular wheel. My wife is up. Let's see what happens here, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody tune in. Let's see what happens. The wheel is spinning in. We are going to see...
Wow. Hey! Whoa! Take a picture!
All right, with that said, here's what we're going to do. 10,000 drops will be the raffle. For having a third giveaway, it will automatically be 10,000 drops. Raffle's running. Go ahead and put yourselves in with an exclamation point cup. I know you might have already, but go ahead and put it back in. Chelsea's the only one in there. We need to find out. We're going to need at least 3 more entries into this thing before we do it. We're going to need at least 1 more entry before we do it. We're going to need to see something from you. We're going to need to see something from you, Mike. There he is. Okay. Do you guys want me to put in a double it and give it to the next person? Does anybody want a double it option in the spin wheel? And we're going to require a yes or a no. We're going to require. No Mav doubles. Says no. Put me in twice. What? Give mine to Missy if I win. Understood. I could do that. But here's what I need to know, folks. For those of you watching right now that are a part of this competition, I'm going to need you to decide. Do we put in an option that if it is spun, we double it to 20,000 points and then do the raffle again? Yes or no? I've only got 1 no so far. My wife says screw it, why not? That's 1 yes, 1 no. Double, Mike says. That's 2 for 1. What does Chelsea say? Nope. She says nope. I tell you what. There we go. We're going to go ahead and spin
Hey,
this.
I got an idea. Let's ask AI.
Oh, I got a
ask
better
AI to
idea.
do a coin
Here,
flip.
hold on, look. Watch this. This is a new thing that our thing has. 8 ball. Will I put in a double or nothing option is what I'm going to say. Check this out. You're going to like this. There it is! Lumia Stream said yes. If you type an exclamation point, the number 8 and ball and put in a question, the 8 ball Lumia Stream will give you an answer. This is a dramatic unfoldment for the competition we have at hand. If you're paying attention to this screen right now, you are one of our lucky people to witness the drama before you. Wow. Actually, wow. Mav, how does that make you feel?
Sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles. She came out, she showed out, she played well. All I can do is better next time.
Let's take a look at the Coffee Royalty standings as they stand. Number 1 is Mav with 61.8 thousand drops. After that 10,000 drop boost, my wife stands at number 2 at 60.2 thousand. Chelsea at number 3 with 51.3. Do we keep the wheel going? Or do I pause the queue?
No. Shut her down.
He says shut her down. But no, I'm not going to do that quite yet. What we're going to do here is we're going to get these 4 spins out of the way and have 5 more. Here we go, starting with... Did we do my wife? Was she the last one that's won that? She is. Yep. Sorry. You just won 10,000 anyways. Take a break. All right. Mike is up. Let's see if he can get it. What are we doing here? What is happening? That's huge. That's actually huge. Wow. Mav, your thoughts on the undertakings that are currently proceeding?
Job well done.
You're
Job
up
well
now,
done,
big
boys.
dog.
Good
What are you
job.
looking for here? What do you
I
want?
thought that
What are
was
you
my
hoping to
spinner
land
first.
on? What are you hoping to land on here, Big Mike?
Just looking to have
Mav?
just hoping to come out with the fundamentals and play the best game I know how to play. You know what I mean?
If you hit giveaway, I'm gonna do a 20,000 drop giveaway because that would be crazy. Don't worry, you're not gonna hit it this time.
Or we could not do that. Potentially.
Yeah, we're not gonna do that because you hit nothing anyways. Respectfully, Chelsea, you're up. Hopefully, you can take the big time lead on this one. Let's see what happens. At some point, I was about to say the wheel is rigged, but today is not the day. Mike is up. Mike said nothing would be good. I like nothing. Well, you got nothing, Mike. 5 more spins ahead of us here today, folks. Mav is one of them. That is nothing, Mav. Go ahead and jump right back in, assuming that that's what you're going to do anyways. And then I will be pausing the viewer queue. Mav has jumped back in. There is no more entering the queue. We're going to go through these last ones. If anybody hits giveaway, 10,000 drops.
Addie could win here. Addie could win if she gets like a 2,000. Yeah.
She almost did get a 2,000, a minus 2,000. She did not hit it. You are safe. As it currently stands, Mav will be ending the show with the lead, barring something crazy. Mike said if she wasn't going to hit it, let me hit it, and also just missed. Chels, here we go to find out what's going to happen. Let's see it. Chels said, I don't want to quite get there. Go ahead and give me 1,000, which we will do. Everything could change here, folks. The final spin of the day going to our own Maverick the Mighty. Everyone strap in. Buckle your seatbelts. This is about to be crazy. $1,500 drops. That right there will solidify a bit of a lead for Mav. A little bit of a cushion going into the final week. 62,750 is where that leaves you at. Would you like me to pull up the leaderboard? I will. Check this out, ladies and gentlemen. There it is. Well, not yet. Give it a moment. There it is. That is that accurate? That is accurate. Yep. For a minute, I was like, that doesn't seem accurate. But it is. Mav, do you have anything that you would like to say to those chasing greatness behind you?
I would just tell those chasing to Osborne and Full Cup on every Sunday at 3 p.m.
Boom, and if you miss it, well, then you definitely won't be getting first place because next week... Mav,
Addie wants to know if you added her 2,000.
I did add her 2,000. It was the first thing I did before we did all this. I've answered my wife. She also is right outside this door. Could kick the thing in.
My wife.
Please answer me, wife.
She probably will. If we
Crikey.
like this one.
I know. I was about to say.
Answer me, wife.
Mav, what do you say? Just one more time.
Nah, I think it's good. I think we close it. Oh, okay. You talking about the...
That's always so fun to do. That's the most... Whew. Chair starts screaming, things start going. I'm busy feeding my kid my lunch and my second lunch. Wonderful. All right.
At first read the book, I thought I was fucked up now in college.
Mav, it's always a pleasure having you on. How about you jump in on with us next week? That would be wonderful. Would love to have you live once again. Don't know what to say.
Appreciate you having me on. It was really fun talking about.
Huh?
Sorry, like everything's delayed. Everything's like delayed on my side. So I'm not like hearing what you're saying for like 20 seconds or something. So everything's delayed. So my apologies. But yeah, no, it was awesome. It was fun. I guess it depends on if if I'm going to be raiding SG's house, Lucas's house next time.
You can do it from your own place too. You can be anywhere and everywhere all at the same time, thanks to AI.
I'll do it for 5,000 drops.
All right, I'll give you and everyone else 5,000 drops.
Oh,
you said
okay.
you'd do it for 5,000. You didn't say nobody else could do it.
Inflation.
All right, everybody else gets 10,000 drops. Seriously though, appreciate it, guys. Catch you on the next one. I know Mike said he's swinging at the air, and that is not really accomplishing much. Thanks for being a part of this, guys. Love having you. Super exciting. Catch you on the next.